What's up, guys? Panic here, otherwise known as Panic Picnic. As we all know, the new expansion for Hearthstone just recently dropped not too long ago, and I'm gonna tell you one of my favorite decks, as well as one of my favorite cards, and what you can do to pretty much be able to craft the deck, and pretty much a little bit of deck ideas and a little bit of theory crafting that I've been having a little bit behind it. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and hop on in to my collection. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you one of my cards. As you know, I really, the card itself. As you know, I am a huge fan of Warrior. I actually love the way they play, and this is actually one of the key card around it. It's actually in one of the custom deck builds that it does offer, so it does give you at least a little bit of guidance on what you can and can't do with it. So in this card right here, it's called Baku the Moon Eater. At the start of the game, if your deck only has odd cards, like odd cost cards like 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, upgrade your hero power. Now, this is pretty much going to function as exactly the same as if you've played a while ago in some of the older expansions. I believe it's called Justicar the True Heart. And what she did is, like I said, she upgraded the your hero power. And like for instance in Paladins, instead of summoning one footman, you're going to summon 2. For Warrior, you're going to be summoning, instead of getting 2 armor with your basic hero power, you're going to get 4. And that's where it's all going to come in line. So, let's go ahead and check out the deck I have, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what they have, and I'll show you like why I did the choices I did. So, the first thing we're going to do is going to look at my custom Warrior deck. As you can see, it's got all 30 cards. Now, like I said, when you do Baku the Moon Eater, you can only play odd cost cards. As you can see, I've only got 1, 3, 5s. I mean, this is pretty much my deck. As you can see, I've got 6 1s, I have 13 12s. I mean, I have 13 3 cost cards, 6 5 cost cards, and 5 7 cost cards. And I'll go into like what I pretty much, like I said, I don't have absolutely everything, but I'll go over at least some of the key cards. Obviously, the key card for this deck, it's going to be Baku the Moon Eater, because we're going to stack armor. We're going to be a giant tank. Also, what's really good with this is we're going to need a little bit of time to be able to do this. And it's going to combo really well with our Fire Plume's Heart. We're going to play 7, once we play 7 taunt minions, I'm going to get Sulfuras, which is a weapon, and then, as you know, when it changes your hero power, and you're going to be doing 8 damage to a random minion. It's basically like having Ragnaros on the field. And the main reason I like this deck is because Ragnaros is actually one of my favorite World of Warcraft characters. That being said, I'm going to at least walk you down through the deck. So, let's start with the front. I'm going to have 1 Archeus Veteran, because this is all I have at the moment. I only really got 1. I have my Fire Plume's Heart, which is my quest card. I have 2 Shield Slams. I have 2 Whirlwinds. I'm thinking of getting rid of them because these are the only cards I have at the moment. I have 2 Black-Walled Pixies, and the reason why you want to have at least maybe 1 or 2 is because the combo is when you have about 10 mana, you're going to use, especially when you have Sulfuras activated, you're going to use Sulfuras, your hero power, and it's going to trigger it's going to do 8 damage, which is going to do 2 mana, and then you're going to play this card, and then it's going to refresh your hero power, so you can do it again. So basically, you can play the card Sulfuras, which is a 3 mana card. You can do your 2 damage, and you can instantly start your turn with 10 mana with 16 damage done across the board, which is pretty nice. Or at least to a minion, and if you're lucky, you can hit some of the harder minions. Or if you like, for the finesse, you can kill the enemy hero, which is great. I've got 2 Fiery War Axes. I have 2 in this deck, but you would swear, if you've ever seen me play this in anything, or if you ever ran on me against the ladder, that I would have no weapons in this deck. And it's kind of annoying because it feels like I'm having trouble drawing it, and I'm still not 100% sure why, but I mean, that's just my take. I have 1 Ironbeak Owl. I actually really like this addition to it because you never know what you're fully going to run up against the ladder, and sometimes you won't have the resources to fully spend, such as, since I've only got 2 Whirlwinds, I don't really have any deck, I don't have any board clears. I do have a Brawl, but that's not a whole lot. A Silence is really good. While it's not a full board clear, sometimes Priests will fully buff a minion, and same thing with Paladins and everything else. A Silence will pretty much just shut it up. It's also a really good counter against this deck is silences, especially because you can just, you'll see later in on some of the other minions that I'm running. But like I said, silence is absolutely fantastic, and if someone's trying to stall or someone's got something that you really can't deal with at the time, or a legendary minion you just want to get rid of, sometimes the ability is really the biggest problem. So I would definitely recommend an Iron Beak Owl. I run 2 shield blocks. I really like it. It gives me a little bit of draw potential. These are of course basic. These 2 right here are basic warrior cards. You can just get the golden version if you play a little bit. You're gonna get 5 armor and you're gonna draw a card. Like I said, it's really good on the deck cycling, and you get that armor and you'll end up spending it later, which is really nice. It just makes you a lot harder to kill. We've got Stonehill Defenders. It's a 3 cost. It's only 1/4, which isn't too good, but it's the ability that you want. Because it is a taunt minion, which will trigger your Fire Plume Heart, but also, since warriors do have a hard time spending, a hard time with resource gathering, such as their hands will either be sometimes running on empty. This is a really good card because you can discover a taunt minion and you can either get one that'll fit the situation. Me personally, I love getting the Lich King in it with it because that's a card you can get. And like I said, you can also do a lot of interesting interactions with that. I run 2 of these because, like I said, it is a taunt minion. It's only 3 cost. It doesn't give you a whole lot of presence on the board, but it is at least a little bit sticky that the opponent has to get rid of, and it helps you out in the long run. I'm running 2 Tar Creepers. These are actually pretty good cards. It's a taunt minion, obviously 3 mana. It has +2 attack during your opponent's turn. So on my turn, it's 1/5. So I'm not going to be able to kill anything on my turn. But on the opponent's turn, it's going to be a 3/5. Which makes it pretty good because you're just trying to sit there, you're trying to stack, you're trying to build armor, and your opponent is supposed to not be able to do it. Some of the end goals of this deck is you're going to basically either make them run out of cards, you're going to make them give up, or you're just going to murder them with Sulfuras. I'm running 1 Tarn Warrior. I want to get rid of it, but I've wanted to have at least something. Like I said, this is just what I have at the time, and it can this deck can definitely be improved. This is a card I'm definitely thinking of getting rid of with either like another Brawl or something else. But like I said, I'll critique my deck a little bit later. Other than that, like, it's a good addition. It's pretty cheap. It's a common card, so I was like, I'll stick it in there. Plus, it's only 1. I'm also running a Raigul as well. It does have its Death Rattle is if it's your opponent's turn when it dies, you can summon a 2/2 Ghoul. I think this one's okay in it. Like I said, it's not the card I would recommend in it. Like I would maybe throw in another Iron Beak Owl or something else to replace it. But I actually kind of like it a little bit as well because it is a 3/1 and it is a 3 cost card, so it does fit in with where I want to go. But also, if the enemy does have like AoEs or something, I'm getting at least a little bit of something on the board. Also, what's really nice is this is the only card I'm able to draw when I on the first turn that I have 3 mana, and this is like the only card I have, and I play it. I can at least get some damage in while I start stacking armor, because I won't be able to play anything during really on any 4-cost cards, especially if I have the coin. I do have run 1 Brawl. I could run 2, but like I said, I think 1 at least is pretty good. As you know, it destroys all minions except 1 chosen randomly. I think this is pretty good because if the enemy starts to swarm the board, you don't really got a whole lot to deal with it, especially with how my deck is currently set up. But it's pretty good. I would highly at least recommend if you're playing Warrior to at least run 1. I am running 1 Direhorn Hatchling. I could run 2, but I like running 1 because I can put my resources elsewhere. But it's a taunt minion that it's a Death Rattle that I can shuffle in a 6/9 Direhorn with taunt into my deck. I like this because it counteracts my where is it? My shield block, in which I draw a card, and this puts a card back in my deck. Also, it puts another taunt minion in my deck that's pretty good, that is a 6/9. I really like this. Also, it's pretty cheap. It's a blue, so it's about 100, and I would highly recommend you at least run at least 1. I'm running a Faceless Manipulator. This is where, like, some will maybe disagree with me, but I actually like the Faceless Manipulator. Instead of me giving... in some of my later minions that I'll talk about, which will show, especially in my Tar Lord, I can play a Tar Lord, and my enemy is going to try to maybe have to deal with it. Maybe summon a great big minion to try to just take it, or if like it's mind control, I have a Face Manipulator and put something back on my field. If the enemy has something that's huge and I can't deal with, and I don't have my Iron Beak Owl at the time, or I've already used it and Brawls down, I think a Faceless Manipulator is pretty good, and I can actually get a taunt minion out of it, like I said, with a Tar Lord or something else that's in my deck. Or I can just cop the enemy's minion, like I said. If they got a legendary minion and I like their ability, I'm probably going to use it. Plus, it's fun. I'm running two Rotten Apple Bombs. It's a 5-cost minion. It's got taunt. Death Rattle will restore 4 health to your hero. You could run 1, but I would highly recommend you run 2. Especially since it is a common cost card, so you guys should be able to afford it, or you guys should be able to open it within the decks you guys get. The reason why I would recommend you get 2 is because that's 8 health you're going to be able to restore to your hero with not counting the armor you guys are already going to have. So it can definitely put you in closer to that 30 basic health threshold. The reason, like I said, I would run 2 is because A, it is a taunt minion. It does have some pretty decent stats, as well as a great Death Rattle. And sometimes when you do start the game, you're not getting you may not get the best draws, and you may have low HP at a time. You may have, like, let's say, you may have like in some of my games that I've been playing, I've had 10 HP and 12 armor. And I mean, while yes, I have 22 total HP in total, because I have that 10 HP plus the 12 armor totaling for 22. With an extra 8, I'm already back to 30, and I think it's pretty good in that regard. Like I said, I'd run 2. I'm running 1. My next card is a Trogg Gloom Eater. I'm only running 1 because I don't see the huge benefit of running more than 1. Mainly because its stats are really garbage. Because it's a 1/5, mainly you're not getting a huge lot of offensive power, but you are getting that poisonous. I really like running at least one of these because it does force your opponent to spend resources on getting rid of it, or you're going to start taking out maybe something big, like either one of their taunt minions or one of their minions that they have buffed up, or just some minions that you really just want to get rid of in general. Like I said, I think it's a pretty good addition to this deck, especially because it runs poisonous. My next thing I'm running is Gorehowl. This could be taken out, but I actually like it because it is a 7. It is a 7/1, and it does deal 7 damage, and plus it is a 7-cost card. Because you're going to have a lot of board presence with your 3s and your 5s, and you'll be able to summon more than 1, because you're obviously going to hit 10 mana at the every game you play with this. You're not going to be able to rush down and beat anybody. A Gorehowl's pretty good because you're going to get that 7 damage. You can use it on the enemy, or you can start using it with your armor, since you've already buffed yourself in the previous mana rounds, that you're going to start doing damage to their minions, and you really don't have to worry about some of the bigger minions. So I like it in that regard. 7, another 7-cost card I'm running is a Lesser Mithril Spellstone. Its abilities, you can summon 1 5/5 Mithril Golem, and if you have a weapon equipped, it'll actually, instead of summoning 1, it'll summon 2. This is the main reason. Like, you could add more weapons to this deck. Like I said, you could add one of the 5-cost weapon that the Warriors have, the Arcanite Reaper, like as an additional weapon if you want to go that route, like maybe take out a Tauren Warrior and put in an Arcanite Reaper. However, I think it's pretty good because you've already got pretty much 4 instances to draw a weapon to be able to summon this, which is pretty good. And the 4 weapons are coming from, 1 is your Gorehowl, 1 is your Sulfuras that you get when you complete your quest, and you obviously have your 2 Fiery War Axes. And it's also a pretty good combo. Like I said, when you hit your 10 cost, when you have 10 mana, you can either summon Sulfuras, or, play the Sulfuras battle weapon, or you can just do Fiery War Axe, because they both have 3 mana cost, and then you just play a Lesser Mithril Spellstone. So you're basically, for 10 mana, you're getting a weapon, and you're getting 2 5/5s on the board, which I think is pretty good. And also this, another reason I really like this card, at least having 1 in your deck, I wouldn't recommend 2, but I think 1 is pretty good. Because when you do have all those taunt minions, they don't really have a whole lot of damage on your turn. And this can put at least a little bit of damage on your side of the board that you can use to play with when it's your turn. Next, I'm running 2 Tar Lords. It is a taunt and has +4 attack during your opponent's turn. In other words, instead of it being a 1/11 on your opponent's turn, it's going to be a 5/11 on your opponent's turn. I think this is pretty good. It's sticky. It's hard to get rid of once it's on the board, unless your opponent has to spend resources to get rid of this, because this is a 5/11 on their turn. They either have to polymorph it, they gotta burn huge spells that they're not gonna use on you or your other minions. Also, like I said, the reason I run 2 and the reason I really like this card as well is I can summon a Tar Lord, and then the next turn I can summon my Faceless Manipulator, and I can copy my Tar Lord. So I have a lot of HP on the board, and they've got to commit something big to get rid of it. Like, if you have 2 or 3 Tar Lords on the field, I have to commit Brawl, because I can't get through that. There's nothing really I can do. Next, and my last card, of course, is Baku the Moon Eater. This card, really, you're not going to play. I would highly not recommend you keep it if it is in your turn 1, because it is a 9-mana card. Its effect will activate the instant you start the game. And it's, like I said, start of game. If your deck has only odd cost cards, upgrade your hero power. So like I said, instead of being 2 armor per turn, 2 armor per click, it's going to be 4 armor per click, and that adds up. My ideal starting hand for this, without coin, so my first 3 cards, you're always going to start with a Fire Plume's Heart. This will always be in your hand immediately. This will always be your turn 1 spell. There shouldn't be really anything else you should play, even if you do get your one, you do get anything. Like if you get 2 Whirlwinds and a Fire Plume's Heart, just play Fire Plume's Heart, make the smart decision, start your quests, get your gold, murder your opponent. Start with this. So my other 2 cards I would highly recommend you at least try to get is a Fiery War Axe is pretty good, as well as a Tar Creeper. Like I said, my ideal starting hand would be a Fire Plume's Heart, a Tar Creeper, and a Fiery War Axe. Turn 1, Fire Plume's Heart. Turn 2, armor up, you have 4 armor. Turn 3, depending on how things go, you can Fiery War Axe, or you can Tar Creeper. Like I said, that's pretty much my turn 1. If I have the coin, like I said, I would still like the, I'd still pretty much like around about the same thing. I would still like my Fire Plume's Heart, so that's card 1. Card 2 is going to be my Tar Creeper. Card 3 is going to be my Fiery War Axe. And card 4 could really be, outside of the coin, but when you draw, it could really be anything else of your choosing, other than maybe a 7-cost card. Other than that, that's pretty much the deck I have right now. And I'll show you how it compares to like the initial warrior deck when you pre-build it. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and pre-build a warrior deck. Let's go and choose that. So I believe it's going to be the Gilneas Armory. It's pretty similar to it because it does have a Baku, the Moon Eater, as well as a Fire Plume's Heart. So let's go ahead and at least, you can obviously tell right off the bat that my deck differs at least a little bit from it because I'm missing 9 cards from this. Let's see what we're missing. So we've got Fire Plume's Heart, we have 2 Shield Slams, 2 Fire Ward Axes, your Phantom Militias. I'm going to try to get some of these. I think this could be a good addition to my other deck, and maybe I could at least replace my Tauren Warrior. I'd probably do that because it's got that extra HP, even though I'm losing the Enrage bonus. Rabid Worgen, I'm not using this because it's a Rush card, and Rush has no place in my deck. Reckless Fury, this is a card I really want to add to my warrior deck. The only downside is obviously this is an epic card. This is purple, that's 400 just to create it, so it's going to be it's really expensive. Mine is a little bit more of a budget deck. Granted, I am running 2 legendaries, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Reckless Fury, like I said, I would totally recommend you at least try to get it if you can, because it is a 3-mana card and you deal all that damage to all minions. So I would at least try to get this, because this is going to be another board clear that's not a brawl. We do have the shield blocks. We've pretty much got all of this. See, they're running one. See, they run 2 brawls. Rush has no place in my deck. They run 2 of these, but as you can see, I only have 1, so I'm making do with what I have. I'm running 2 of these, and they're running this, and that's pretty much about it. Like I said, in comparison to my deck, like I'll give at least a little bit more of an overview where things could change that I would recommend, and why I maybe have made a change. I actually like this RTS veteran. Give a friendly minion +1 attack, because this is a permanent attack boost to for whatever you're going to use it on. I actually kind of like it on any of my tanks. Like if I've got a Stonehill, like if I've got 4 mana, I have 4 mana or whatever, and I've already taunted. And I've already got my armor boost. I could boost it and get that too. I could obviously take it out, but I think it's at least gives me, like I said, something on the board at times. Plus, late game, it can be fun. You never know what you're gonna get. But like I said, I've made at least a little bit of budgeting constraints. Like I said, my deck is still kind of expensive because I am running 2 legendaries with his Baku the Moon Eater and Swordplume's Heart. But other than that, this is a common. These Shield Slams you should get from Classic deck. And I would highly recommend, if you play a warrior, to always have at least 2 Shield Slams at any given time, because you never know when you're going to need them when the meta changes. I would recommend for myself to get rid of Whirlwind for one of those armor expenditures from the crafting that I don't have that's epic. But I think Whirlwind's at least a good start. It could, like I said, be replaced, but because it doesn't really seem like it does a whole lot on my end. But it can finish off something. I could maybe replace 1 Whirlwind, and if Execute is still in the game. No, I can't even run Execute. But Blackwood Pixies is common, so you should get this. It's pretty cheap. If you can't craft it, you probably could just open a few packs from the Witchwood, so you easily get it. Fiery War Axe, all warriors, you're gonna get this, so that's free card. Ironbeak Owls, classic set. It's pretty much free because it's common. Shield Block, you're gonna get for free if you're a warrior. If you play a little bit, you get a golden one. It's great. Stonehill Defender, this is one of the first blues you'll run across. Taunt, discover a minion. It's blue. You should at least get it. I mean, it's cheap. It's only 100. It's not too bad. It's not too pricey. Dark Reaper, common, like I said. I believe it's Witches of Westwood. Just open a few packs or craft it. It's easy money. And you can use it in a lot more decks. This, classic set, 40. Vorgel, 40. It's cheap. This is what I have. Brawl, this is really, like I said, the one card that I would highly recommend you need, as well as Shield Slam. But, like I said, even though it does add on the price, it is worth it, especially if you do play any warrior. It is from the classic set, so it's going to be useful every time. So you should always at least have it, and don't ever sell it. Direhorn Hatchling, like I said, I'm only running 1. It's blue, 100, shouldn't be too expensive. Faceless Manipulator, this is, like I said, you don't need to run this, because this is a 400, this is 400 to craft. But this isn't in the classic set, so it's always going to be relevant. You can always make a meme deck with it later, so you can craft it later. It's not 100% imperative that you have it in this deck, but for me, it's just nice to have. These, like I said, I'm running 2 of these. These are common, so you should have no problem crafting or getting them. I believe this is also from Witches. Common. Gorehowl, classic. It's epic. You could probably change it out with something else if you want. But like I said, if you play warrior, you should always have at least a Gorehowl. You should always at least know where this is, and I wouldn't recommend you selling it because you make a lot of decks with this. Lesser Mythical Spellstone. This is blue. This, like I said, this is a quality of life thing. It's not entirely imperative. It's just nice to have, but it's only a blue. Tarlord, common. Baku the Moon Eater, expensive. I actually ended up getting lucky. In the creation of this deck, I was able to craft Baku the Moon Eater from a golden legendary I had. That being said, this is pretty much my deck. Feel free to tell me where I can improve. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys at the picnic table. Bye!